What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video from Pink Tourmaline. It's now been a few weeks, couple months, I'm not sure exactly, since I came across this whole theory of, you want to call it the prison planet theory or the reincarnation trap, the soul trap theory, that is a part of the way this planet works and the way that life on this planet works. And I'm still trying to get my head around it. There's still so many elements that I'm trying to explore. I'm still trying to understand if it makes the most sense as maybe the prevailing theory for how things really function on this planet or not. And as I'm trying to make sense of everything, one of the questions, obviously, that is at the top of my mind is, well, if we are in this situation, how do we get out? How do we escape? How do we stop the cycle? How do we stop the wheel of samsara? And obviously, I've read Isabella Green's book on leaving the trap, where she gives some ideas. But of course, I wanted to hear from David Icke on this subject, because David Icke is the person that basically introduced this entire subject to me. I saw a video. He was talking about NDEs and talking about how they were fake manipulations. And I was shocked and blown away because all the NDEs that I'd seen thus far, I bought into it. And I thought they were lovely, beautiful stories of what's going on, why we're here. It made great sense to me at the time. It's not making as much sense to me now, but that's who introduced this entire subject to me from the get-go. So I've been trying to find something from David Icke, not just talking about the whole system and the archons and the paradigm that he believes we are in, but okay, if that's the case, what's the plan? How do we escape? You hear these gurus spending their entire lives in deep meditation and trying to detach themselves from the material world. Is that the key? Is it such an extreme protocol that we have to undergo in order to escape that it requires a lifetime of dedication, or is it something else? Is it something simpler? I don't know. And that's what I'm on a quest to find. Well, I can't. And again, I think David Icke has been an amazing resource for me. I've mentioned why I now have been re-listening to him, even though I was aware of him before. It's partially because of the Epstein files and a lot of this crazy stuff that's come out about a lot of the folks in power that David Icke's kind of been saying since the get-go. But all of that to say, nobody is infallible. Nobody is 100% right about everything. So we have to take everything that anybody says truly with a grain of salt. But I did find this amazing clip of David Icke talking about exactly how to escape the trap. And it's not a lifetime of meditation. It's not these extreme protocols necessarily. So if this is the case, if this is true, if we are to believe that we are indeed stuck in a reincarnation loop, where we constantly have our memory wiped, and we're essentially singing this song and partaking in this dance over and over to essentially just emit this vibrational energy that is being consumed. If we are to believe that that is truly what's going on, and we want to escape, and we buy in to what David Icke is essentially telling us, then here it is. This is the answer. Like I said, if it's true, it's very uplifting because it's not overly complicated.
And it's very, very important. And this is why this information is so vital, because you come in and your mind's wiped, and then you have a human life. And then you go out the other end and you go into, I've never experienced anything like it before. And you're going up the tunnel to the light, or to the light, or whatever, and you're still in that mind wipe state. You're still bewildered. And when people are bewildered and a bit fearful and confused, then if anything that comes along and as a guide, an authority, they will do what it says. Where I'm going with this is that it's so vital that while we're in a human life, between the mind wipe, that we understand what the game is and how it works. Because then when you leave the body, you don't fall for all the traps, because you know how it works. And like I said earlier, if you are in a perceptual state that self-identifies with being infinite awareness, when you realize that this simulation, both in the body and out of the body, is a total illusion to entrap our perception. When you know all that, your, if you like, energetic field is vibrating so fast through your perceptions and your expanded awareness, you're out of here. You don't have to stay in the simulation at its different levels, because you are vibrating at a level that's beyond the walls of the simulation. It's like two radio stations operating in the same in different frequencies. They share the same space without interfering with each other.
So that's it. I can sum it up in one word: awareness. That's what he's saying. And so it appears that what he is preaching effectively is we need to wake up. That's the entire mission in this life, or if you have to come back again, or in subsequent lives, whatever it may be. If your aim is to escape the loop and to be able to be free from this repetition, this repetitive cycle, it's all about awareness. It's all about understanding the truth, coming to terms with the truth, and then having such a strong frame of mind or consciousness once you exit the body that you cannot be manipulated. And that makes a lot of sense, right? Because obviously, I think my original hesitation with accepting that this could be a realistic paradigm was, I was like, well, I understand that our consciousness and our knowledge is limited while we're in the body, but once we are released, I guess I just assumed that we can all of a sudden regain infinite access to infinite knowledge once we're back in this pure consciousness form. But what David Icke is saying, and I'm opening up to this idea, is that no, whatever this memory wipe thing is, and other remote viewers are saying that this is happening due to some super high voltage electrical field that we pass through, but whatever this memory wipe is happening before we enter the body and enter this planet, that memory wipe is still in play when we exit the body. We don't all of a sudden plug back into all of information and consciousness and all that stuff. So we're still in this phase where we know kind of what we know, what we gleaned or what we learned in this life. Then the cycle repeats, and then our memory is wiped again, and we start back as tabula rasa. But so the point is if we can ascertain, we got basically these individual lives where, in between the wipes, where we have an opportunity to get to this informational level, this consciousness, this awareness, this understanding of what's really going on. And if we can reach a certain awareness level, then when we get into the astral, where he's talking about where you're like bewildered and it's made to look so beautiful, and then you have guides and authority figures coming to you and telling you what to do and where to go and why you should come back in after a life review. If you have the right awareness of what and wherewithal of what's going on, then you're untouchable. Then you cannot be manipulated, and therefore you can go wherever you want. That's beautiful if that's true. I hope he's right on this. And like I said, man, David Icke's been right on a lot of stuff. So I'm inclined to think that there's something to this, but in David Icke's own words, that's it. That's the key. Awareness, understanding. And so learning, understanding everything as best we can. Hopefully I can be a part of this solution if this is indeed the case. And that's it. And just waking other people up. Now, he has another really cool clip from this video, this interview, that I wanted to share as well. And he talks about the simple notion that we have to understand, like, this is the truth of it, that we are in control of our own destiny, but it's all about, you have to believe it. You have to accept it, because if you don't accept it, then you won't be. And he also talks a lot about authority figures. And it's really interesting because it makes a lot of sense. It makes sense if truly we are in control and all we have to do is believe. It makes sense that if it is the objective of some outside force for us not to escape and for us not to be in control of our destiny, that so many things in this world and in this life are set up in a way where we give away our power, we give away our destiny, we give it away to authority figures, whether it's in political spheres or religious spheres or whatnot. So that's pre-programmed into us, so that when we pass on, we're following that same protocol and we're easier to manipulate. But check this out. Again, an uplifting, beautiful segment from David Icke. We are in control of our destiny.
Again, we are consciousness, and thus we are actually in control of our destiny. We're just kidded that we're not. That's the trick. That's the mind trick. because if you don't think you're in control of your destiny, then some other force must be, and there's your power. And what's interesting when you analyze the human world and this astral fake heaven world that you can go to after what we call bodily death, it's amazing how they mirror each other, because a lot of people, they look to authority to tell them what to think. They look to authority to protect them or whatever. And then when you leave the body, because you are in this mind wipe state and you think you're experiencing it for the first time, and you're kind of bewildered and lost, when authority figures appear, you do what they say, and you become subordinate to that astral authority as you were subordinate to the human authority.
It's so wild too, because again, that's literally how everything is set up. Even if you think about most religious structures, it's like you have to submit to the higher power, submit to the quote unquote like theoretical God in a lot of these different religions. It's so interesting that that's all programmed in. And yeah, does it need to be this way, or is it set up this way so that all of that blends into our perception in the afterlife and us falling in line? If we think about breaking out again, this lines up with some of the statements in Gnosticism, and I think David Icke actually does get some of his ideas from Gnosticism. I mean, he talks about the archons that specifically in the Gnostic text as well. So maybe this isn't a coincidence, but if you think back to I think it's one of the lines in the text that are retrieved from Nag Hammadi, but this famous quote from Jesus where it says, "The kingdom of heaven is within you," and it's right there. I think that's exactly in line with what David Icke is talking about. No, relinquish this idea of having to look up to authority. It's not about authority figures. It's not about the church or priests or government political figures that can raise you up. And no, the kingdom of heaven is within you. The keys are right there. You just have to accept. You just have to believe. You just have to be aware of that power. And then boom, you're free. You're liberated. You can go where you want to go in this multi-dimensional, maybe infinite dimensional reality that we exist in. Wild stuff, cool stuff, uplifting stuff. Because if this is the case, then all we got to do is learn and be open-minded and not be afraid to explore these different channels of information and try and get to the truth. Try not to be held down by ridicule or other folks, coming down on us and making us feel like we should stop these pursuits. No, just keep learning, keep pursuing. And that's it. Anyways, that's all I got for you guys in this video today. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. This one made me feel really, really good. And it's also reminding me to continue to think positive, continue to think in empowering ways. Man, it's just a very uplifting message. And I hope I've conveyed that to you guys as well. And hopefully you can take some positivity out of these words in the same way. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you guys so much for joining, and I'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.